Hi, I'm Jonathan,
And I'm Beth.
and together we're D&D Duet, and we're going to be talking in today's video about how we set up for and prep for our one-on-one games of D&D.
With a special emphasis on how we set up for combat so that you can move in and out of it as smoothly as possible without having to kind of bring your game to a halt and then get things going.
Nothing messes up a good session of D&D faster than a awful transition.
Okay, so we're going to start with the player setup, which you can see here. Normally, I would be kind of at the end of the table with Jonathan over here, but this is where we are. So we keep our character sheets in a 1/2-inch 3-ring binder, and then we keep them in whatever these plastic sheets are called. And so I tend to, because we have multiple games going, we'll just pull out the sheets that we need so that we don't have to have the notebook right here the whole time. So another thing that I will do, even though they're in these plastic sheets that you can write on, I add a Post-it for each character, and I haven't written on the Post-its yet, but that really helps moving from session to session. So I have Tybalt, who we run as a sidekick character. So I have his Post-it from our last session, so we can see that he starts with 52 HP, so that's what's there under his name and how the combat went, as well as kind of where he ended up, how many hit die he used, did he use his lay on hands, how many of his smites did he use. And so the nice thing here is that if we picked up our next session right here, then I would know that Tybalt has 21 HP. If we pick up the next day, he regains half of the hit die expended. So he's still going to be down 1 hit dice and have 4 instead of 5. But I've just found that this is a lot easier way to keep up with everything. And so before we started our session, what I would do would be, so if we take Berseris, for example, I'd put her name on it just in case the Post-its get separated. I'd put down her HP, her spell slots. If a character has a magical item that has charges, I'll tend to write that so that I can just kind of tick off when they've used them and which spells they've used. Berseris she's a Beastmaster Ranger, so she has a Wolf Vera, who I'll usually keep on her sheet because Vera's stats are right here. So that's kind of the basic. Before we start a session, I'll do that for each of the characters. The next thing that I'll do is roll initiative, so that wasn't very good, and write the initiatives on a different Post-it to give to Jonathan, so that when we move into initiative, or if we move into initiative order during the session, he has that. So Berseris's initiative would have been a massive 4. But he'll have those to put in order as we go through the combat. And so we don't have to stop and me roll initiative and then him make up the sheet, because he can go ahead and have that ready to go before we even get started. We've just started using spell cards, which I really like, and we're still working on a holder for said spell cards, but it's a nice way to kind of have them at the ready and not need to have. And as you can tell, this is already a lot of accessories, but it's a nice way to not need to have a ton of accessories at the table all the time. We also have our Hero Forge minis. So this is my character Berseris. She's so cool. And so we'll have our characters out for just in case we are going to go into combat. My little, what is this? The personal dice tray, and then the dice holder. I can't remember what they call it, from Wormwood, which we love. And I keep notes, and I have a traveler's notebook specific for our D&D campaigns. So I keep Berseris's notes here. And so here you can see her stats from when we were last playing that I actually kept here, so I could kind of write notes and keep her stats at the same time. But whatever you can do to kind of minimize flipping back and forth makes things a little bit easier. And so I'll do that, and I've got my fancy pin, and we're pretty good to go.
So this is what happens behind our screen, behind the DM screen when we set up for our duet. I have selected all of the die that I'm likely to use. It can be really helpful to take a peek at your monsters and what kind of die they need, so that you can have those ready, so that you're ready to throw down when you need to throw down. I love that on the DM screen you can use a wet erase marker and make notes on it. For example, I've highlighted on my DM screen to call for concentration checks when players take damage and they're concentrating on a spell. I also really like having adding sticky notes and post-it notes and things to your DM screen to make it whatever you need it to be. Recently, we've again got these wonderful monster cards, so I will typically have whoever I might need ready to go, set up, and that I can grab them. Sometimes I'll arrange them based on initiative. So if we had a drow rolled a 18 initiative and the noble rolled a 15, I can just kind of arrange them, and I have all of my information right there. Of course, you're going to want to set aside any of the minis that you might need. These are done by the incredible MZ4250, who's working through and modeling all of the creatures in the published D&D books. Is incredible. You should go support his Patreon. As the DM, of course, you need 1,000 different things to write with. I like to keep dry erase markers handy for drawing on our wonderful vinyl battle map. And I also, I typically still keep track of HP and initiative and rounds and whatnot on a simple post-it note or like a notebook. And I'll just list everybody, and then as we go, I'll mark down their health and how the round is moving through. I'm a fanatic for OneNote on the iPad. It allows me to very quickly call up any kind of information I might need and organize and categorize and all of in a very satisfying, very natural way. Embedding pictures in it is super simple, and so you can throw in a battle map and actually just call it up. And of course, as the DM, you need your reference materials, but that's what it looks like behind the screen for our D&D duets.